Saudi Arabia, I take my hat off to you. That was exceptional. A dazzling, wonderful, joyful, hard-fought display that made history. Argentina haven't lost a World Cup game in which they have scored first since West Germany beat them in 1958. That is the magnificence of what the Saudis achieved. And when you think back over the years, there are some iconic shocks in World Cup history. This will go down as one of them. Whether it's the USA in 1950, North Korea in 1966, Cameroon against Argentina in the first game of Italia 90, or Senegal in 2002 when they beat France, this is up there. Saudi Arabia 2022, this will be remembered forever. Football is the winner. Football is truly unmatched. Football is unrivaled. It's undefeated. Football really is the greatest thing on earth. International tournament football, I am so buzzed, I am so excited, I am so electrified by international football. There is nothing quite like tournament knockout football, and that was the display. To remind everyone, we talk about so much around the game, maybe we don't focus on the game enough. And what we saw there was a dazzling display, just a perfect football match. It was a football match that had absolutely everything. It had passion. It had jeopardy. It had controversy. It had a shock. It had superstars galore. And I just loved every minute of it. And do you know the thing that I think really amplifies the beauty and importance and prestige of football? It was 10 a.m, man. It was 10 a.m. And we're all buzzing and I had endorphins flowing through my brain and I was arguing, I was shouting, I was live on Twitch, right? And I'm watching this game 10 o'clock in the morning. Nothing else can make us come together and feel so impassioned and so energized like football. And I am truly loving this tournament. And do you know what? It's not even, the big thing, right? It's not even that the Saudis won. It is that the Saudis, it is massive that the Saudis won, don't get me wrong. But it's also the way that they did it. They came from behind. And it makes it even more astoundingly astonishing that they managed to do it from behind. The way that they were dominated at times in that first half. Lionel Messi, the GOAT, scoring that goal. You're like, okay, this is curtains for the Saudis, man. They haven't got a chance. But the way that they beat Argentina, in a way, at their own game. They scored 2 world-class, beautifully crafted goals. That is the first thing to acknowledge. The Saudis were wicked. They were brilliant. They were so worthy of their win. And they scored 2 wicked goals. But that wasn't the only way that they beat Argentina at their own game. They beat them in sort of physicality, physical intervention, every kind of law manipulation that you got to do, the mental fortitude. They had everything that you could possibly need. So yeah, it was spectacular from them. And there were some individuals that really need to be mentioned here. I mean, I thought their keeper, Alois, what an amazing player. What an amazing display from him. I mean, he gets a game at Chelsea. No doubt. We need to sign him up. I think he's at Al Hilal. We need to sign him up. He was truly brilliant. And remember, for the last 10 minutes, when it's really coming on top, when Argentina are launching wave after wave after wave of attack, he had to play on, knowing that, or not knowing, in fact, that he had injured his teammate. He didn't know for sure that his teammate was okay, but he had the mental fortitude, the driven determination to see his team win a game, because in that moment where he charged out of his goal to punch the ball clear, oh my days, he annihilated Al-Dosari. He annihilated him. He wasn't looking, he was looking at the ball, Al-Dosari. As he's watching the ball, he's just cleaned out. It was like he was hit by a Range Rover. And the keeper had to play on. That kind of collision in the face, you could see that the keeper was all over the place. He was calling the medics on. The play went on for too long. Messi was on the ball. The referee didn't stop the game when he should have done. And you could see that he was holding his head. He was worried. He had to play on. And the mental determination there really does deserve full acknowledgement. It actually felt like, the famous collision in football, the Battiston-Schumacher collision. It felt like it had vibes to that for me. The Battiston-Schumacher, it was just like, oh my gosh. And from what I've understood, Battiston still has issues now. So, it did look terrifying. But do you know what? I think people are going to focus far too much on Argentina. I think they're going to talk about the wastefulness of Argentina, and maybe that's true. There were times when Argentina went through and all those offside goals, they didn't need to be offside. The balls were so perfect, the passes were played with such perfection and such glorious weight that the runner didn't need to be offside. So don't be offside and score the goal. People will focus on that, but what people will not acknowledge is the defensive resoluteness of Saudi. They were amazing. They got it so right. They were so spot on. It was as if George Graham and Tony Adams were linking up to be their defensive coach. Do you remember when Arsenal had that brilliant 1-0 to the Arsenal and they would all step up in unison? Steve Bold, Tony Adams, Nigel Winterburn and Lee Dixon. They would all move up as one, all put their arm up, and they would play you offside time and time again. And they got it so right, and it's a risky strategy because if you get it wrong, you concede. But that is how good Saudi were. They were so good. I think what we probably need to do here is remove ourselves a touch for a moment, because looking at the group here, right, we can note that Argentina still have a really decent chance of escaping the group. You know, they're not really going to struggle. I'm looking at the teams. I'm looking at the way that it's going to shape up, looking at the fixtures. And in fact, they still have a decent chance of winning the World Cup. Of course they do. I mean, in 1990, as I mentioned earlier, they lost their first game, didn't they, to Cameroon, and they still made the final. Spain recently lost their first game and won the thing. So it can happen, but they will need to play a lot better than they play today. With more intensity, with more intelligence, with more aggression. I think managerially, they're going to have to get it right. Some mistakes were made. And do you know what? When you think about how they played and how they set up, I'm not really that surprised that they lost once they were 2-1 down. I mean, I'm surprised by how little they created following the second time that they conceded, but the fact that they lost isn't that surprising. I mean, it just wasn't right, and I think that Scaloni maybe got it wrong in the team selection. The fact that he went for Otamendi and Romero, I mean, it tells you how highly he must rate Otamendi and Romero, bearing in mind that Otamendi's, 34? When he's got Martinez sitting on the bench, who's in form, fully fit. Romero hasn't been playing lately. So I was slightly surprised there. And I also think that he got it wrong when they took off Paredes. I don't think it was necessary to take him off. I think they lost something in the middle. You know, they were going for broke by that point. But I wonder if it wasn't necessary to make that move. Didn't feel like it benefited them at all. So I think that maybe the manager does need to sort things out a touch. There was also, right, something else that we have to acknowledge. Of course, it looked very difficult for Saudi. And they had all those goals disallowed that were rightly disallowed. But maybe the goal that actually stood, maybe Saudi should have never been 1-0 down. Because yesterday, the collision that Harry Maguire faced was far less severe than the collision that happened today. And I wonder, actually, if the Argentina goal, the penalty that Lionel Messi ultimately scored, came about because of Harry Maguire. Effectively, Harry Maguire maybe has an assist for Argentina. Because I think it is a real problem, you know, the way that the physicality around defending corners. And maybe referees have been told that we have to clamp down on it. And off the back of the one that wasn't given yesterday, maybe that had an impact on the goal that was given today. We will never know. But do you know what? Enough about Argentina. Today is about Saudi Arabia. Historic, brilliant, wonderful statement victory from them. That result will go down in history. You will never forget where you were the day that you heard that Lionel Messi's Argentina lost in their opening World Cup game to Saudi Arabia. Massive from them. Huge. And I love it. I genuinely love it. I love this World Cup. I love tournament football. Can't wait for more of it later. Thank you for watching this video. I really hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please do me a favour. Give it a like. Click subscribe. Please do click subscribe. It would be my honour to welcome you into this community. And I will see you all on the next video in a bit.